You ever have somebody tell you something and then it's just instantly like inside you say to yourself, no. My name is Sean Lewis. I'm a creative. I films and advertisements and draw, paint, sculpt, all that kind of stuff. And I own a business that does all these types of things. And I have ADHD pretty bad. I wanted to speak out to all of my fellow creatives and aspiring creatives in this community of YouTube, those who may be in a situation similar to the one that I was in, that I'm going to share with you guys here, and maybe give you some tips and tricks on like how I got through some of the adversity that I faced being a creative, especially in high school. We had to take something called an aptitude test, answer a bunch of multiple choice questions that are mostly situational. And the whole goal of this test was so that you could take it, it gets graded, it goes through some kind of algorithm it's supposed to tell you what your career path should be, how you should shape the rest of your education. These tests come back to us. The teacher's walking around the room, just passing them out. People are like, hey, cool, look, I'm supposed to be a doctor. I'm going to be whatever. Their test came back and said that they're more apt towards in their aptitude test. Never put that together. The teacher comes by and sets mine on my desk, and it says that my path couldn't be determined. I broke the test. Undecided. See counselor. I go see my counselor and I'm like, hey, I got this back on my aptitude test. It's telling me that I need to come and see you and that you're going to help give me some guidance. So she looks at me and she says, well, what is it exactly that you want to do in your career? What do you want to do with your life? Where are you going, Sean? I said, well, I would like to draw, paint, sculpt, be a musician. I want to do lighting design for shows. I want to do live audio. I'm going to tour as a musician. I want to preach. I want to make movies. I want to act. I just started like listing off all of these things that I really, 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 really wanted to do. And she looks at me and she says, you're never going to be able to do all of that. You need to pick one of those things, and then you just stick with that one thing. You ever have somebody tell you something and then it's just instantly like inside you say to yourself, no, this isn't right. This can't be right. Because I kind of thought to myself too, and I don't make any bones about this. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. The Bible says that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And so at that point in my life, what I thought was like, no, I can do all these things because I have Christ inside me. So I can do this, right? I decided to walk across the street to the junior high to see my previous school counselor. And I explained to him what happened, and he was like, "Well, I don't want to speak against this other counselor, but aren't you a believer, Sean?" I said, "Yes, I am." He says, "Well, can't you do all things through Christ who strengthens you?" I was like, "Yeah, that's what I was saying to me earlier." And I bring it up to my parents. Now, my parents are both very creative as well. My mom can draw and she can sing and act. And my dad, he can sing and play guitar and act, and he can't draw to save his life. They're very encouraging in dreams and everything. So I explained the situation to them. They said to me the same thing. And it was like that triple confirmation inside, and then my junior high counselor, and then my parents as well. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to take the word of the guidance counselor and let that be what steers my life. I am going to take what I know in my heart I want to do. These dreams that I've had since I was even younger, since I was watching like movie magic episodes on PBS or something just to see behind the scenes. Before all the behind the scenes stuff was like super readily available to everybody on every platform. By the time I was 23 years old, I was able to cross everything off that list. I'm still doing all of those things that were on the list. And I don't say that to go back to my guidance counselor and rub it in their face and be like, see, I told you so. And there was never any anger towards the guidance counselor. And I encourage you, like, if you're getting that kind of thing from a parent or a coworker, a teacher, or somebody else who's supposed to be in leadership over you, not to necessarily get angry with them, because the truth is, if they're not in that same creative mindset, they can't see the world the same way that you do. And my dad, he helped me out a ton because having ADHD, uh, it can be tough sometimes to move towards your dream, especially if you're not like in that hyper focused state on something, and it's not a project to which you'll see that end state of it very soon. Something that's a little further out there in the future. You're working towards that to maintain a mindset that keeps you going in that direction. So he really helped me out with some processes and stuff because of him being able to think administratively and analytically and applying that to my super artistic sense and being able to organize and plan things and move forward and actually be successful in these things. So if what I'm saying here, if you can relate to that, if that's you, I want to give you three of the things that really helped me on the start of this journey. There's all kinds of things that I had to learn along the way, but I want to give you these three starter kind of tips, I guess, that tips, tricks, whatever you want to call them, but three things that really helped me kind of move along in this process. The first thing that I would encourage you to do is make a list of all of those things that are on your heart to do. Some people have like vision boards, right? They put it on their wall and it's got a picture of the car that they can see themselves driving, the house they can see themselves living in, the physique that they want to have, right? Whatever. They've got their vision board. And maybe that's the way that you need to make it. However you need to do it, writing it down on paper, putting it into a vlog that you can then watch back later, putting it on a vision board, but make a list of those goals that you have. This is a blue sky thing. It's just everything that's in your heart. A lot of us, we kind of know what we want to do when we're younger. There's sort of a sense of what you want to do. And for some of us, that kind of gets beat out over time. And then we find ourselves in this identity crisis of, I don't know what I want to do. Well, even any of those little things that maybe you thought when you were a kid, just put them on there. So that's the first thing, is make that list. The second thing is to come back to that list often, not every 10 seconds, like watching paint dry. Did I make it to any of these goals? Did I get anywhere? But if you're checking back on it often, it's constantly keeping those goals in front of you, reminding yourself of that vision that you have for the future. They talk about it in business stuff all the time. You need to constantly be casting vision. Otherwise, people don't know where they're going, and it's very easy for division to happen. And for us as individuals, it's kind of like, if we don't keep that clear vision of where we see ourselves going and our heart's desires, we can allow any external influence to kind of get in there and divide our attentions. And for some of us, it's totally not on purpose. It's the video games that we find ourselves constantly playing, or going down the YouTube rabbit hole and not getting something done, right? But we're keeping that in front of us and constantly looking back at it. And then the third thing is make decisions that assist you or propel you toward those goals. And these decisions, it can be all kinds of different things, from the purchases that you're making, the courses that you're taking in high school and in college, the types of videos that you're watching on YouTube. And I'm not saying cut out all fun entertainment, because I don't think that works for the creative kind, right? But it helps you to keep your focus. Because one of the things my dad would always say would be like, hey, does that thing that you want to purchase, does that somehow assist you in these artistic endeavors? Like, maybe you see something and it's shiny. You have that moment, oh, that's shiny, I want to buy that. But does it aid you in getting towards any of your goals? So perhaps one of your goals is to be a really great illustrator, and you want to do illustrations through pencil and paper. and you see some shiny new toy or new video game, but really the purchase that you could make outside of that thing that would take a bunch of your time away from reaching your goal, possibly, right? We need this creative outlet still. I've said that, right? Maybe you could have purchased a new sketch pad, one with that heavier weight of paper that you need for doing the types of illustrations that you want to do. Maybe you could have put the money into an upgraded pencil set. That's just a small example, but these are the kinds of things that will help you in this beginning stages. So you've made the list, you're looking in on it often, and you're making those decisions that aid you towards those things on your list, towards reaching those goals. And that's just kind of the word of encouragement that I want to be able to share. If this strikes a chord with you, then try those things out and see if that helps you, or if you have some other tips that maybe things that you're doing that you're finding to be very successful. Leave those in the comments, or perhaps you've got a question on, hey, I run into this type of thing as a creative all the time. Is there something maybe that you've experienced, or maybe somebody else has experienced that can help me out with what I'm going through? Keep your head up, because there is hope. You will make it. You will. Okay. I believe in you guys. And I want to just continue to share stuff on here to help you out. That I needed it. We all need it. Anyways, you can do the like, share, subscribe. But until next time, make that list. Okay. And keep creating.